lot of people to realize that, but it's actually happening that way. Now, I want to share this. This is a news article or email that Twitter, essentially Elon Musk, had sent out to all the people regarding the layoff that's supposed to happen today. I haven't necessarily seen any reports further, but this had a very interesting part to it on the second page here. But the whole thing's good. Team, in an effort to place Twitter on a healthy path, we will go through the difficult process of reducing our global workforce on Friday. We recognize that this will impact a number of individuals who have made valuable contributions to Twitter, but this action is unfortunately necessary to ensure the company's success moving forward. Given the nature of our distributed workforce and our desire to inform impacted individuals as quickly as possible, communications for this process will take place via email. By 9 a.m. Pacific time, 9 a.m. Pacific time on Friday, November 4th, everyone will receive an individual email with the subject line, "Your role at Twitter." Please check your email, including your spam folder. If your employment is not impacted, you will receive a notification via your Twitter email. If your employment is impacted, you will receive a notification with next steps via your personal email. If you do not receive an email from Twitter HR by 5 p.m. Pacific time on Friday, November 4th, please email peoplequestions@twitter.com. To help ensure the safety of each employee as well as Twitter systems and customer data, our offices will be temporarily closed and all badge access will be suspended. If you are in an office or on your way to the office, please return home. This is key, folks. For all the stuff that's going on right now, for the continued censorship, we're going to talk more about it. There's a lot of people, and again, I could care less what happens to Twitter. I have zero skin in this game. I dislike the company, frankly. But I know a lot of you love it. Okay, so there's a lot of people that are super pissed that things aren't happening fast enough. And frankly, there's a lot of people on the left that are pissed because they can't just echo chamber things like they did. That's already been broken. So I've already seen a lot of really, really good things that have come from Musk taking over Twitter. But censorship still seems to be there. People are still banned or banished or whatever, and we'll talk about it, but no hope of getting back on anytime soon, depending how you define soon. We'll talk about it. So they continue, we acknowledge this is an incredibly challenging experience to go through, whether or not you are impacted. Thank you for continuing to adhere to Twitter policies that prohibit you from discussing confidential company information on social media with the press or elsewhere. We are grateful for your contributions, yada, yada, yada. Take this job and shove it. So Twitter shut down the offices. Nobody could get in. Obviously, an extremely select few, Musk and a few others. What do you think they're doing? I'll bet you money there's all sorts of stuff kind of built into their system. Not just their code and their platform, but within the building itself. So I would assume there's all sorts of things that they've got to take care of. How long it stays shut down? That's going to be a very curious question. We'll see. That'll be answered for us. We can speculate, but we'll see. Now, Kanye sharing his text that allegedly is showing his trainer told him to apologize to Jewish people or be forcibly institutionalized. He goes, "I will do anything, if you could please apologize to my people." And then he continued, "I am going to help you one of a couple ways. First, you and I sit down and have a loving, open conversation, but you don't use cuss words, and everything that is discussed is based on fact and not some crazy stuff that dumb friend of yours told you or you saw in the tweet. Second option, I have you institutionalized again, where they medicate the crap out of you, and you go back to Zombieland forever. Play date with the kids just won't be the same." This is the way they try to control people. This is the way they've been trying to control people. Ye talking about it even further. "What should be obvious by now is that I was raised to stand for my truth regardless of the consequences. So I will say this again. I was mentally misdiagnosed and nearly drugged out of my mind to make me a manageable, well-behaved celebrity." And this is that Harley guy talking about his option there. So again, Ye sharing this with us all, that this is how they've controlled him. This is why he's breaking out. This is why he's pissed off at a certain group. And again, I don't feel it's safe, or I don't think it's safe, I don't even think it's proper to go after the group. Like, I was brought up Catholic. There's a lot of bad stuff in the Catholic, a lot of bad mojo in the Catholic Church. Doesn't mean Catholic people are bad, right? Same with Christians. There's some bad mojo in the Christian community. Doesn't mean all Christians are bad. There's some bad mojo in the Jewish community. Doesn't mean all Jews are bad. Doesn't mean all bankers that are Jews are bad, right? Like you can't generalize that broad a brush on that, right? Some specific people that are bankers that could be Jewish and are horrible people. Let's talk about the content of their character, not so much the race or religion that they claim, right? Now, again, I think some of these people aren't true Jews. I think they're hiding within the Jewish community. But again, it's an interesting way to go about it. Mel Gibson did it. Kanye did it. Who else? There's been a couple of them that have come out and said these types of things, and they all get just rocked. So we've got Slave Princess has been talking about the same stuff. So people close to Kanye told SlavePrincess.com how his Kardashian cult tried to put him into a 5150 in order to control him, his kids, and his fortune. He was lured into a den of vipers and is now somehow free to blow the whistle. Now what we've heard Kanye say is that he didn't take the bait, that he didn't give himself up, that he didn't fall into the trap. I forget the exact way he phrased it. But this is speaking to it as well. And this is how the deep state gets you. They reel you in with the idea of money and fame. They find out something that you like that's not legal, and then they get you to do it. Now, it could be prostitution, which isn't that big a deal, but it could be pedophilia for sure, homosexuality for sure. It could be even some of the worst stuff, which gets into the devil-worshipping stuff with adrenochrome and eating potentially children and stuff, right? Like, there's some really crazy stories, and I've seen videos of horrendous, evil people doing evil things. That is how they get you. He didn't fall for it. He didn't commit the atrocity that gets you reeled in. So that's why they can't do anything other than attack him. Kind of like Donald Trump. If they had the dirt on Donald Trump, they would have already produced it. Period. End of story. If they had the dirt on Kanye, it already would have been produced. Another example, Kyrie Irving. If they had the dirt on Kyrie, they would have presented it. Now, he's supposed to work with the ADL to fight this anti-Semitism thing, pay $500,000 to orgs that work to eradicate hate. Again, I don't condone going out and speaking against any group in a negative way. I just don't think it's a good idea. Again, like what Martin Luther King said, and I vow to this much, I completely go by this. It is the content of the character. It's an individual. People are awesome. People are great. Individuals suck sometimes. And I don't care what creed, sex, color. I don't care about any of the protected classes type things. I don't care about those when it comes to dealing with an individual. It's the individual. And if they suck, they suck. And if they're okay, they're okay. Right? We all make mistakes, certainly. Some people are just plain evil. So they're going after this dude. Well, guess what? Now he's been suspended for 5 games for failing to disavow anti-Semitism during a media session. Again, this is a weird fight they're having, but they are choosing this fight. There's something to that. You got to really piss somebody off to go down this path and to push as hard as they are. So again, you've got Trump, you've got Musk, you've got Irving, you've got Kanye. Now, Irving is not a billionaire, but he's getting there. Now, Israel's Benjamin Netanyahu, Bibi, has been restored to power once again. Now, I don't know on this guy. Like, I've heard people say both things, both sides, right? He's good, dude. He's totally good, Dan. And like, dude, he's totally deep state, Dan. I thought he was deep state for years, but I also thought Trump was deep state. Like, so anybody that had a lot of money or was in power was pretty much deep state. It was just, I just kind of had a broad brush on that stuff, and it just kept me safer in general, right? Just don't trust anybody, and then you find the couple every once in a while that are worth trusting, right? They'll surprise you when they pop up, but it's like, oh, cool, look at that. Trump was a good guy. So Bibi is back in. One thing I kind of want to remind people. It was in Luke 21:20. And when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh. So is he the guy that's supposed to be in place right before the world surrounds Israel? We've seen the Q post that says Israel will be last. The Khazarian mafia that are embedded within the Jewish culture, the ones that I think Kanye and Kylie are specifically talking about when they make their very broad-brushed statements. It's the part of the Jewish culture that's hiding within the rest of the biblical Jews, right? The appropriate Jews. Or I think another way to maybe look at it is it's the difference, I think, between the Canaanite Jews and the other side of the fence. And for those that don't quite understand what I mean by that, Cain killed Abel, right? So that whole bloodline of Cain continued to exist. That was the evil bloodline. And that's what that story is really describing, is how evil created its own bloodline and how there was a good bloodline, but that had to happen a different way. So I think that's what these people are talking about. They're all, I guess, technically Jews to a degree. But this is, where we're at with it. What else we got? So to a degree, that's maybe why he's there. Be curious, you guys throw some comments below, right? Ukrainian rocket factories hit by airstrikes, says Russia. Russian Air Force has struck rocket factories in eastern Ukraine and destroyed mercenaries' headquarters. The ministry said it's also daily briefings on Friday that a missile engine factory at Pavlograd, they were hit the top 3 floors. Some factory-made munitions for multiple rocket launchers. Russian aircraft and ground forces also struck 5 command centers and carried out missile strikes on the headquarters of one of the foreign mercenary units near the southern city of Nikolaev. So, yeah, a lot of rockets were fired from this location. They're saying added that 9 rockets fired from the U.S.-made HIMARS launchers and fired 3 shots from the BM-27 Irigan systems. They were destroyed, I guess. So, yeah, I don't know. Pretty hard attack seems to be happening still. Now, Russia is apparently going to be presenting evidence to the UK. They have the British ambassador is going to be coming over in the near future in order to present evidence that the United Kingdom was behind the attacks in Crimea, which had threatened to collapse the United Nations brokered Ukrainian grain export deal. Moscow says it has firm evidence that Britain's military assisted with last week's large-scale drone attack on the Black Sea Fleet off Crimea. This news comes not only after word broke out of Liz Truss's odd message to Anthony Blinken, which that might very well be shown, moments after the Nord Stream pipelines were blown up. Liz Truss allegedly sent a message saying it's done to Blinken after the Nord Stream sabotage. Russia continues to place the blame for much of the warmongering and conflicts on the UK. Moscow says it's the fault of the UK for the collapse of the grain deal. The United Kingdom is looking complicit in this war, while Kremlin officials have yet to provide proof that they did the following on Wednesday. But the UK ambassador will be summoned, and he will be given the appropriate materials, Foreign Minister spokesman Maria Zakharova said, adding the meeting would take place in the near future. Basic materials will be handed over as evidence to the British side and will also be shown to the general public, she added. And then they're going to do what they're going to do. So this is significant in a lot of ways. If it's legitimate proof, and of course the deep state is going to say it's not, and doubtful they won't show it to us. They'll treat it like the other thing of Pelosi getting arrested, which is interesting that got taken down, right? Like if it's fake, it wouldn't got taken down. Oh my God, it pisses me off that they got me. They beat me. I'm glad I at least had it up on the screen. That's all I got. So the British government's wargaming now. They've got emergency plans to deal with week-long blackouts. So they're now preparing for this, possibly because of what could very well happen in retaliation because of what they've done to Russia. We'll see. But this is some of the thinking that's coming from the British people, on top of the fact that I think a lot of people are just going to go dark in the winter months, so we're hearing. All right, so again, I love Jordan Peterson. I love him, even after he says stupid stuff like this. And I hammered on, the dad of the chick. Oh, God, I got a couple people who got mad at me for giving him a hard time. But these people that are coming out, and I get why. They don't like having people that are anonymous being able to essentially hammer on them on Twitter, right? So they're like, we should get rid of that anonymous stuff. Now, again, Huckabee, Mr. Huckabee was the guy that was pissed off because he said the same thing a while back. And again, I like him a lot, and I like his daughter a lot. So again, just because they say stupid stuff once in a while, I don't just like, I hate you now. No, that's not how it works. I love Jordan Peterson. Love this dude. Listened to him for years. He's brilliant. And he's got such a good breakdown on personalities and the way things work. And he's just a damn fine Canadian. Yeah, so is. But that being said, he's He's trying to lobby Elon Musk to make sure that everybody's got a digital ID. Now, that's about as deep state sounding as it gets, Jordan. So I would just warn you, this is not a good path to go down. You're going to lose a lot of support from people that already are in your crowd. So I would just be careful. But again, I understand he probably gets beat up on big time by anonymous people. Now, again, it's the people that aren't anonymous that have a problem with anonymity, and obviously the people that are anonymous that have less of a problem with anonymity. At least I show my face, right? Like, I at least give you that. I know some people are smarter than me and didn't, which was, I don't know, was a suggestion someone gave me years back with this channel. And they're like, dude, why don't you just put your face on there? Because I think people would probably like that. It might have even been my little brother that said it. And so the very first show I did, the first episode where I actually had my face on there and I was talking rather than just audio like Dave does on X22, I got like twice as many views or something. Like, it was like significant. I'm like, all right, I'll keep doing that. So whatever. I get where. And finally, major automakers warn people, stop driving popular models following 2 deaths. There's a recall on these. The parent company of Dodge and Chrysler, so it's Stellantis, I think it's more important. Dodge, Chrysler, the years affected are 2005 to 2010. The cars involved are the Dodge Magnum, the Charger, the Challenger, and the Chrysler 300. All of them have some sort of messed up, I want to say it's the airbag. So yeah, if you don't get that fixed, it could rupture in the event of a crash. It supposedly has caused a couple deaths or something like that. Usually that's what it takes to get a recall to happen. Most of the time companies don't like to do it. It's expensive. So if you've got any of those cars, or if you've bought one of those secondhand or something, just be aware that that could and likely is a problem with your vehicle. Stay strong, folks. Understand that they're going to be trying to throw all sorts of crazy, misleading information at us. They're going to try to get us pissed at people that are trying to help the big picture. They're going to try to get us to turn on each other. Just look at the facts, look at what people are doing, look at their efforts, and try to judge them by that. Don't just so much look at what people say about people or what people's opinions about people are. Like, if someone's like, you should dislike somebody, and you watch them, and then you don't feel the same way, that's cool. You can even say, I don't agree with you, but cool, thanks for your thoughts. I like that. It's cool, right? So, again, keep it in mind, we're heading into an important time, and we've got to keep pushing forward. We've got to keep the fight going, no matter what. This is not ending on Tuesday next week. It's not. We're not going to be able to just sit back and go, whew, I'm glad that's over and behind us. No, not even close, folks. So let's not get even remotely complacent. Let's not get ready to relax, because it's not time to. Let's stay focused, I think, at least until 2024.
I think we've got a lot.